everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Calvin, We the Species. And actually, I'm with KORTEZ from Esoteric Urbanism. And I just said it to KORTEZ a couple of seconds ago before he went on air. He was one of my first, within my first month of doing this 3 years ago, he was one of the first people I've interviewed because I've known KORTEZ probably a dozen years since I got into journalism. But anyway, chronologically, we're at the end of July. It's Sunday, July 30th, and this should get up pretty soon. This is, again, for me, a very special interview because I love and I've loved KORTEZ's artwork for a long time and his work, and I've known him a dozen years since I got into this journalism gig, and I've been involved in this. I do have, and I've never done this before. I mentioned KORTEZ. I do have a commercial. I don't do commercials, but the commercial is actually for myself. This is a proof copy of my novel, which is coming out at some point by end of August, early September. It's called "There's a Tortoise in My Hair: A Journey to Spirit." It's a journey very similar to mine. A lot of Jersey stuff in here, and growing up in the 60s is in here, and that's a picture actually of Belmar, New Jersey, the jetty where I used to go. That's my sneaker, and the back cover is, and because KORTEZ is an amazing artist, I did one piece of artwork in the summer of 1970 to express. And that became the back cover to express things that were in my world then, called Vietnam and civil rights and brotherhood and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, please watch for that. I'll kind of let everybody know when it's an interesting read. I can promise you that it's an interesting read. So my monologue is done. We're gonna jump in. This is so interesting, your life, KORTEZ, and your journeys from music, DJ, art, vinyl. You know, we've got so much stuff to impart, and I, again, I'm just saying, I've been a fan of your art. I remember years ago you given me this, which I say it's on my desk. I keep it on my desk, and I look at it like every day. Also, I just randomly pick some things. I love your mixed media stuff. So this is a mixed media that I found online just to kind of show people. And of course, you got stuff behind you. And then,
you know what's funny about that piece?
What?
I sold that piece, but I painted over it.
Oh,
so the box is still there, but I painted something.
Oh, that is funny. That is funny. It's just, I'm not because you're here, but I absolutely love your art. And then I found this too. It's called Festive, and these are just random things, and people really go to esotericurbanism.com, and it's just a wealth of painting and artwork that's there for people to see. So to begin, maybe just a quick little bio of yourself, a little background, and then we'll jump in. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. So take it away, KORTEZ.
Okay, well, like everybody knows that's listening right now, my name is KORTEZ. I'm a visual artist, DJ, designer, and I call my artwork esoteric urbanism. Esoteric meaning meant for or understood by a small group. And urbanism has always been my snarky way of saying black. And so it seems like nowadays everything has to have a brand. So a friend of mine gave me that term, and I treasure it.
By the way, it is one of the most descriptive. It's a beautiful term, by the way. It really is. So when did esoteric urbanism actually begin?
Well, I mean, it's I always say my art has been a lifelong journey, and I've been doing art since I was a kid. was one of the things that I could do just naturally. It's almost like there's no work to execute things, but at the same time, it's a lot of work. So doing it for so long, you become, you know, comfortable with your craft, and then you expand from there and do different things. And for me, it started out with sculpture as a little kid, and then went into drawing. And, you know, as a kid, you draw what you're interested in. So at one point it was dinosaurs, then it moved on to cars, and then next thing you know, I'm looking at fashion magazines and drawing models out of fashion magazines. And it's always been something that, as far as things around the house, always inspired me. My mother having different magazines around the house, from Cosmopolitan Home to Ebony's, all of that has worked its way into my art. And my father being I guess you could say he was an amateur photographer, but more or less he was a photographer. I shouldn't say amateur, because he was in the sciences, and when he was in Alaska or South America, he took pictures. And that was his passion. He had a lot of cameras, and I had those cameras when he unfortunately passed away. And it's something that I love myself, and that's why I do the mixed media.
You mentioned your dad. In talking, you had said your dad had told you when you were a young kid, either be a DJ or an artist, which you've become, and we're going to talk about that. I thought that was great. So let's talk about, if you can put it into your words, this fusion of art, DJ culture, fashion, social media. How is it, all of that now, how is it shaping you?
So going back to when I was a teenager and trying to find myself through music, through culture, you know, through fashion, I found myself immersed in hip hop. And because of hip hop, we're here celebrating 50 years of hip hop. Because of hip hop, that's what inspired me to be a DJ. I couldn't dance. I got caught pretty early with graffiti art, so my father threatened everything short of death if I got caught out there spray painting public property. And so the music was very intriguing. I've always loved music. You know, when we would have the family barbecue, I was the one manning the stereo. You know, my mother had to constantly tell me to turn down the music. And at a very young age, my brother took us to a kiddie disco in New York called the Pegasus. And that right there was my first time seeing a DJ in a club environment. You figure I must have been about 12 years old. And to see that, and then you fast forward to the inception of hip hop, and it was done. That's what I wanted to do, you know. And then the graffiti, the fashion, with hip hop, they said it's the five pillars of hip hop: MCing, DJing, breakdancing, or b-boying, and graffiti. And so with those elements, and seeing it not just sonically, but visually through fashion, you know, through dance, through you know, technology, you know, utilizing a turntable in such a way that it hasn't been used before. To see scratching for the first time is simply amazing, and that's what I wanted to do. And a friend of mine who was a DJ, who had his own equipment and took me under his wings, his name is Ian Francis, and he's like, listen, you're not going to scratch on the turntables and you not know how to mix. And he handed me a crate of club records, and it was done. I fell in love with club music, or dance music, which was an offshoot of disco. And then later on, it became house music. And it excelled from there. But it all started for me with hip hop or soul music.
Okay. We'll get to this a little bit later in more depth, but in addition to being you're such your artwork from mixed media to which I love. It's right behind and what I showed to your drawings. It's amazing artwork, but you've also drifted into this DJ culture, and you've become a DJ, and we've got some events that are coming up, and you've connected with other DJs.
Well, as coming up as an artist, going to school, I'm here studying the art, fine arts, the basics, and at the same time you're looking out into the world and seeing, what's going to inspire me, what's going on. And so, like I said, with the hip hop, with that coming on and coming up, you see this element of graffiti. So one of the first artists I really fell in love with, that was a contemporary artist too, was Keith Haring and Basquiat. And
Wow.
those two artists, loving them, not when they were famous, but being tapped into it.
Wow.
Through having a brother who lived in the city and going up into the city and seeing these drawings on the subway trains or out on the subway platforms, and knowing it was Keith Haring before he was famous, that left a mark. And so I saw what was going on in the streets with hip hop, and it all fusing together with the graffiti, and then seeing this art that's in the streets, and then all of a sudden it's in the galleries. That connection was there when I was very young, before I was even thinking about doing art myself. So you fast forward, went to art school, was very good in arts in high school. So I went to college, and now I'm going to school in New York City is right there. And I'm going back and forth, between learning in the classroom and learning what's on the streets, and then going into the clubs. I was going out to clubs, and I remember bringing these paint markers and painting on like dancers' jackets and their combat boots in the clubs in North. So here I am again. I'm painting on my jeans in college. I'm painting on t-shirts. I'm painting on jackets. It's an extension of the art I'm learning in class. Instead of putting it on the canvas, I'm putting on combat boots. I'm putting it on pants. And so this is like late 80s, early 90s. Again, hip hop is evolving, becoming more popular. I'm also evolving as a DJ. And I'm falling in love with this thing I call, but we call DJ culture. And so being immersed in the nightclubs and seeing what's going on the streets, and now I'm learning in school the traditional way of painting artwork, hanging it in the gallery. Sooner or later, things are going to collide. And that's what's happened with me. And with my father telling me either be a DJ or an artist, now I'm saying I'm a DJ and an artist. Both are intertwined with one.
Right.
And I bring it, this I did live. I did this at a art show, a pop-up art show in New York City. And my first time doing a piece at one of my shows. And it was amazing. And because I'm a DJ, it's mainly because I wasn't a great musician. So I was able, because of technology, again, pick up turntables, play music, and tell a story through the music that is pre-recorded on vinyl. Fast forward, technology changed, CDs came into play, digital downloads came into play. All the while, I still kept my vinyl, always went to vinyl shows, and stayed closely connected to people who love vinyl. And so I just pulled it all together at the store.
Wow. Wow. By the way, the piece behind you, how long did it take you to do that? Just
I did that say 3 to 4 hour sessions, and I did 3 sessions live.
okay, so that was like 12, 15 hours to do that.
About that, yeah.
Okay. It's so unique. Again, I'm not just saying it. I remember early on when we first became friends, you did I remember all this stuff. You did an art show and you had an exhibition across the street from the State Theater in New Brunswick at the Heldridge Hotel. And was it Suleiman who was there with you?
Iman Onway. Yep. And that was our first time connecting. We're still friends.
Yep.
We collaborate, and just like the collaboration with the DJing, I've been collaborating with artists for years. And one of the first artists I collaborated with on like a large scale level was a brother named Jerry Gant.
Okay.
Jerry has since passed away, but we had a long relationship. When I first started going to school, 89, that's when we met. And we've been friends ever since and growing. And at one point we went our separate ways, but the whole interfusion of DJ culture and fine art also was inspired by my interactions with Jerry Gant. He was a poet as well. And so he was an artist that was doing poetry, doing graffiti, painting in galleries, even DJ. And so here I'm meeting other people who are doing different things and bringing it all together. And I'm thinking to myself, over the years, I've always done it. I remember you came to a show of mine, I think in Asbury Park. And
yes, I did.
And I've always tried to incorporate DJ culture into the fine arts because it makes it more fun, you know. And the pandemic definitely proved that galleries have to go into a different direction and do different things to bring people out. You know, a lot of times galleries are stuffy and boring and pretentious, and having music makes it a little more festive, makes it more fun.
Okay. You part of your repertoire is you have this thing called open turntable. You schedule events. Talk a little bit about open turntable.
So the open turntables came from my hosting events at the store and noticing a lot of DJs coming together, and we just rock out, just play. It's almost like the equivalent of a band, people getting together and having a jam session. And so from those jam sessions, I got the opportunity to start doing parties at Four City Brewery. And so I have a relationship with breweries too. I did a mural in a brewery, one of the first in Asbury Park, Dark City Brewery. And I always knew breweries were kind of cool. So I knew this guy named Roger. We would bump into each other every once in a while. And I ended up putting some art in the brewery for, you know, the early stages of the inception. And what ended up happening was I saw a community there in beer culture. And a lot of DJs love beer. And so once I got the gig, I came up with the idea of doing open turntables where you invite other people to come through and play vinyl. We did a couple experiment parties and it worked out. Next thing you know, I'm on payroll again.
Great.
It's worked out. So I'm at Four City Brewery every first Sunday and Hackensack Brewery every third Sunday.
That's great. Well, actually, when we're off air, I want to write those dates down so we can promote those. you have a great friendship with DJ Adam Cruz, and actually he's one of the contact. His book that I wrote, and there's going to be a link for people to see. Talk a little bit about DJ Adam Cruz.
So when we started doing the events at the store and branched off to the brewery, I wanted to create something a little different. So I would invite DJs through. And so some of the DJs were friends of mine, and I would, I make my own graphics and I make it kind of a big deal that they're coming, even though they might not be a big name DJ. And then it just so happened that I knew some DJs who had more of a skin in the game, so to speak. And so with them, what I would do is, listen, I can't give you money, but I could do a painting for you. So I invited Timmy Richardson is one of the DJs that came through. Who has the name? Tony Vaughn. He used to be a DJ for WBLS. And then Adam Cruz, I knew or I met through Josh Milan, who I did some freelance work with Josh Milan, and he supported me with some paintings. And so Adam came by, he had a really good time and loved the painting that I gave him. And he said, yo, we should do this on a regular. And we started doing them on a regular. And what it did for him was, it was just pure fun. He loved the energy of the space. And it was just fun doing something different. We were playing vinyl. We were playing music that sometimes we seldom get to play outside of our own homes sometimes. And so it really started a movement. It's still growing. I've had the legendary DJ Tony Humphreys come through. He's the first American DJ to have a residency at the Ministry of Sound.
Wow.
In London.
Wow.
And so to have this local legend who lives in East Orange come by on the strength of Miss Bird, who's a legendary promoter of house music. And we did a fundraiser for the Weekway Park House Music Festival and had a series of events. Wow. Where we had Deuce Martinez come out. We had Elwood Letterow come out. It just created a really nice, almost like an industry vibe, but it wasn't industry. It was just really nice. It really didn't pick up momentum because we didn't have enough time, and with the restrictions that you have on breweries, where you only have a certain number of events a year, the open turntables was the one that was really pulling out more people. So we had to cut the Thursday night. And now I'm focusing on the open turntable. And so, like I said, we're doing it at Four City, Hackensack Brewery, and soon to be Black Box in Newark. It's an alternative art space. And also Revilla Grooves in Millville, Milltown.
Milltown, okay.
Start hosting events there, and I'm doing things here in Freehold, New Jersey, like the African Diaspora Arts Festival, and we're looking at doing other events based here in Monmouth County, and focusing on vinyl.
Which is a great segue. By the way, you mentioned Weekway Park. Long before you were here on Earth, I used to play football on Saturday mornings at Weekway Park.
Oh, wow.
I'm a Weekway guy. You're talking about Newark, and I'm a Newark guy.
Okay.
And I graduated from Weekway High School. I know you went to art school in Newark.
Yeah.
I did my homework, KORTEZ. I always do my homework. I always do my homework. But you mentioned Weekway, and and I'm so in tuned to Weekway and Newark, because that's who I am. And as a matter of fact, there's a ton of stuff about early Newark in this, because it's part of my journey, and it's what means the most to me and where my heart is. I'm a Newark guy, so I love when you talk about that. But anyway, back to business. you said it a whole bunch of different times, vinyl. So we talked about it before he went on air. There's this amazing resurgence in vinyl.
Yeah, I mean, it's twofold. It's one, you have a new generation discovering something that is it's vintage, it's sustainable, it's something very eclectic and trendy now. And so you're finding a lot of record labels now pressing up new music simply because the record companies lost a lot of money in the whole downloading game. And they're still losing money. And nowadays, if you're able to press up, say, 100 copies of vinyl, you're guaranteed to sell those 100 copies. It's now it's a money game, and it's interesting to have this resurgence of vinyl and being a DJ and having the collection that I have. I never got rid of any of my vinyl, so I love that.
And when you and I chatted a while back, I got such a kick out of the fact that you said to me, and I've interviewed 244 people, and you are one of two people who noticed that vinyl album I had behind me, and you knew who it was. Like I said, I've interviewed 244 people all over the world, literally, and you said to me you knew who that was, and we
Well,
talked.
yeah, because I've seen that record and
Yeah.
kick myself for not picking it up. But I have other Lenny Bruce albums.
Yes, that's for people. That's Lenny Bruce, and I have all. I think KORTEZ. I have all his vinyls.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because as I mentioned, I was a big fan. Not so much when he was around, but right after he had passed, I discovered Lenny Bruce.
What year did he pass?
He passed in 1965.
Okay. And see, I found out about him in junior high school. In somehow reading about Richard Pryor, they mentioned Lenny Bruce in an article when I was in middle school.
Okay.
And I read his, I believe it was his autobiography.
I'm not sure. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. But what drew me to Lenny Bruce when I discovered him in like 1970. I literally discovered him in 1970, and I was so upset with myself because I could have, if I was more aware of the world. Listen, there were two tremendous things in my life that I could have done, and I didn't do. And because I didn't do these things, it changed the trajectory of my life so that I won't miss things. One was I was certainly old enough to go take a train into the city. The Erie-Lackawanna train, it goes to Newark and Maplewood and stuff, and I could have gone to see Lenny Bruce perform. I was old enough. I was a teenager.
Right. You just
That's
didn't
number
know.
one. Number two, and this probably bothers me more than anything else, is I could have heard and seen and met Dr. King in February of 1963. He spoke on Clinton Avenue in Newark, and I knew about that, and not a lot of people came to that. I knew about it, and I was 18 years old, so I was certain, and I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. Why? Because I was a kid, and what did I know?
Yeah,
And
that definitely happens a lot.
and I've never forgiven myself for and I also could have been in the movie War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. They called me twice.
Oh,
So
yeah.
these are three events in my life. But Dr. King is at the top of the list. Imagine I could have sat in the front row, 4 feet away from him, and listened to him speak on Clinton Avenue in Newark, and I didn't do those things. I didn't go into the city. I didn't go into the village, and I write about those things that shaped me. It shaped me because of omission, because I didn't do these things. So that going through the rest of my life, I'm going to do these things. I'm not going to let opportunities So, but anyway, that's
That's part of the reason I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm DJing more now at 56 than I did when I was 25. And I think I'm enjoying it more now. The technology, again, having the vinyl is one thing and having this archive is great. But now I'm using another DJ program where I could still utilize the turntables, but I could pull music from the computer. And being able to get music from the computer is amazing.
wow.
It's so much simpler, and I find it a challenge as well. So I love mixing the both worlds, and it's to me it's art. It's
It is
just like
art.
the energy I put into my DJing is the same energy I put into my art.
And you can see it. I mean, you can see the art, and that's a good segue. Talk a little bit about these two special events coming up, the African Diaspora Arts Festival.
Yeah, I have several events coming up. The three important ones. The 19th is the African Diaspora Arts Festival. It's at 1 Main Street in downtown Freehold. And that's something we've been doing for 5 years. COVID, of course, interrupted things, but we're in our 5th year doing it. And we're going to have performers or performer Elias, who sings this very popular club song called Follow Me. So if you've ever been to a black barbecue, sooner or later someone's playing this song Follow Me, and Elias is a Jersey native and he's going to be performing at the African Diaspora Arts Festival August 19th.
Okay.
And I have this Tuesday, I don't know when this is going to air, but August 1st is the National Night Out with the Freehold Borough Police sponsoring it and sponsoring me as a DJ. So I'm doing my open turntables at this outdoor event. And I find it kind of ironic that the Freehold Police is sponsoring me being an advocate for Black Lives Matter. And I think this is a great opportunity to use art and DJ culture as a way of building bridges, you know, holding people accountable, and having that difficult dialogue about police brutality in the United States.
So these are two great events. Certainly this will be out way before the African Diaspora
Yeah.
Festival. And by some miracle we can get this up and out before Tuesday.
And then I'd be remiss to mention my deceased brother's birthday is August 2nd.
Okay.
And I claim hip hop culture was a catalyst to me starting to DJ, but also my brother was a catalyst to me DJing by bringing me to that kiddie disco.
Okay.
And we're doing this thing called Eclectic, and it's going to be at the Jersey Shore Art Center in Neptune or Ocean Grove, New Jersey. And that's August 12th, and it's going to be 5 to 9 p.m.
Okay, I'm writing that down. Okay. So
and that Eclectic is just a group of DJs getting together and trying to do something a little different. So we're doing something in a dance studio, and we're all bringing something to the table a little different. We're not going to be beholden to mainstream club culture, and we're doing something different. There's a DJ named David Mancuso, who's a big inspiration to a lot of DJs who really know their history. And David Mancuso used to have these parties simply called The Loft in New York City, and it was his apartment. And if you guys look up David Mancuso, you'll see his bio come up. And this is where modern day club culture and DJ culture more or less started, at least for here in America. And to embody that spirit of just playing good music, not worrying about a format that's radio ready, it's a dream come true for us as DJs.
yeah, I'm taking notes as I'm listening. You see me writing? I'm taking notes, listening to. Yeah, I remember everything, so I write this stuff down.
It's a lot. It seems like a lot, but it's very cohesive. And if you go to esotericurbanism.com, you can see where it all fits in. I share my artwork, and I also have a section called DJ Culture. And if you read through that section, you get a better idea of what I'm trying to do. And you also understand my history, and you see how I got to this point and how it just converges. And I think it's the right thing for me to do.
It's a great thing for you to do.
Something new.
It's just a great thing. Again, I got to just show just samplings of some of your artwork. I need to show that. This sits on my desk for you probably gave this to me 10, 15 years, not 15, 10, 12 years ago. It's just
the date might be on that.
Yeah, 2015.
Yeah.
By the way, it's almost 10 years. I was saying it's almost 10 years. Okay. I may have asked this to you 3 years ago, but I'm going to re-ask it. It's a nice question. I like we're kind of winding down now. So I like to get a little loose. But here it is. I love this question. Excluding family or friends, somebody living or dead you'd like to spend a day with.
I think if this was before, when you asked this last time, I believe it was before Prince passing away, I would say Prince and Malcolm X.
Okay. All right. Great answer. By the way, great answer. I don't know if I ever told you. I was at a private concert with Prince. Did I ever tell you that story?
Yeah, you did. And I know that had to be funny because you're so tall and he's probably up to your kneecaps.
I was literally a few feet away from him. It was a private. It was a long time ago, obviously. And I had really long hair back in those days. And if I had sunglasses on, you would swear I was Howard Stern. And I'll find that picture of me. You'll swear it's Howard Stern. But anyway, I was in the city for a convention, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning. I was walking back to my hotel, and this Club USA, which back then was one of the hottest clubs in the city, they had a private concert that night, with Prince coming on at 2 in the morning till 4 in the morning. But it was only for celebrities and invited guests. And people were trying to get in, and it's not that I was a big fan of Prince. I was a big fan of folk music because I came out of the 60s. But anyway, I said to myself, let me go back to the hotel, get a leather jacket, get my sunglasses, and let me get in line, and they'll swear I'm Howard Stern and I'll get in. So I did that. Went back to my hotel, sunglasses, leather coat, my hair was long. I waited online. When I got up to the security check, they took one look at me and said, "Hey, Howard, hey, get in there." And in I went, and it was a private concert. Prince came on at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm literally feet away from Prince, and I stayed for most of the concert, and I didn't want to stay till the end because if somebody discovered that I wasn't Howard Stern, I would have gotten kicked out. So I left on my own, but. So I was literally a couple feet from Prince. Great story, funny story. Finally, last, I like this question too. Favorite movies, favorite actors, favorite musicians.
I've been watching so much media over the last couple of years, and I don't have a favorite movie.
That's all right.
But I just watched this movie on Netflix called The Clone Tyrone, and it is a very interesting social commentary that I suggest people take a look at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, we did our thing, KORTEZ. Any last minute things you want to throw in?
No, just go to esotericurbanism.com. I'm very accessible. Social media, Esoteric Urbanism, or KORTEZ the artist, and with the K, and you'll find me. And every first Sunday we do open turntables at Four City Brewery. Every third Sunday we do it at Hackensack Brewery. Like I said, we have the National Night Out that most likely will be passed, but you could read about it. We have the African Diaspora Arts Festival on the 19th. Hackensack Breweries the next day, and Eclectique, that is August 12th, and that is myself and playwright and DJ Mark Henderson spinning, and that's all on my social media.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for your time, your passion. Thank you for your art. And this was great. And again, you were one of my first interviews 3 years ago. So it's almost like an anniversary type interview. So thank you. Come back. You can come back with DJ. By the way, come back with DJs. Come back any shape, way, or form.
We would appreciate that. And also in the link, you'll see the link for Adam's books, Adam Cruz's book, Free the Music Business and Tips and Tales from an Indie Music Nerd. And so lots of good stuff. And we'll be coming to a library near you. Every town has a library, and it'll be really great to have Gathering the Tribes again. So if you're a librarian and you're listening to this, if you're a brewery and you want something a little different, reach out. Gathering Your Tribes, Esoteric Urbanism, and open turntable sessions.
Perfect. Thank you, KORTEZ.